Good morning. Yes, I'm Kimberly Southwell, State Director, Women for Gun Rights. I don't know about how your gun journey started. Mine started a little bit out of fear, actually. I ride motorcycles, and essentially one part of our duty, and I was riding with the American Legion, and part of that is to escort our fallen soldiers to their final resting place. In one of these things, we were headed down to Miramar, the cemetery there. We were met outside the gates of the cemetery with protesters. They were not happy that we were there. We got through the gates, got to the gravesite. We were setting everything up for the ceremony. I went back to my motorcycle to get, I think it was just water. And I was surrounded by 4 or 5 guys. And they were not happy. They had signs. They were saying things that I'm not going to repeat, but obviously the thing was they didn't want me to be there, and how could I support baby killers, for lack of a better term. And thankfully they were loud. And the reason why they were loud is the people that I was with came over and they rescued me. Have no idea what they had in mind or where that was going to go, but it did start me thinking. I had to be able to take care of myself. And I had never really run into that before. Consequently, started to go down the chain, and how I couldn't physically take them on. I'm old now. There's no way, even in my 20s, I couldn't have done that, right? So it came around to, well, how can I defend myself? How can I take care of myself? Started training, started looking, and eventually came to the conclusion guns were a concealment. Gun was, well, that was the way. The more I learned, the more training I had to have. And it kind of just snowballed. I became a certified range safety officer, and then I became a certified pistol instructor. And I was still volunteering for other women with a chapter of A Girl and a Gun in San Marcos. So I got to tell them and ask them what they're facing and what they want to do and what they wanted to achieve. And I get to help them on a day-to-day. So that's kind of how I got into guns. And then I got introduced, and here I am, State Director. So this was not ever the plan. This was not something that I even thought of, but there we are. The organization itself is what I'm going to talk to you about. Women for Gun Rights is something, it used to be called DC Project. Just recently we went through a name change, so you could hear it by either way. I'm going to tell you about Women for Gun Rights, the organization, why we do what we do, our mission, and give you a little insight about our leadership. Basically, what I do have to tell you is Women for Gun Rights is a nationwide organization, and it's basically about women committed to safeguarding our Second Amendment. It's not only for women. Trust me, I tell you, we do actually approach the Second Amendment for everybody. We just happen to be a group of women. We are nonpartisan. We're made up of moms and daughters and sisters, and we believe that education is super key to what we do. And you hear the terms, and I don't like gun violence because guns are not violent. Violent is violent. People are violent. They just happen to use guns to do it. So we believe that education, particularly educating our legislators, whether it be state, local, or federal, that is our mission. So we go out and see them, talk to their staff, because legislators can come and go. Staff is going to stick around. But that's what we do. We spend our time talking to the actual folks that make the laws that make the rest of us go absolutely crazy and wonder if we're ever going to be a felon or not overnight. We do counter the disinformation. I know you've seen ladies running around in red shirts and they're yelling and screaming, and they're not really a nice group to hang with. So when the legislators got a hold of us, we're complete opposite. Moms Demand Action is the name of the group. They tend to have a very emotional plea, but please know that those moms do not speak for us moms. So we have to give the counter, and that's what we do. Gun rights are actually human rights. You might be asking yourself, though, what's the big deal? Why women, for God's sake? Why is there a group of women that's really this important? Just some facts for you. Gun ownership has gone up about 28% since 1994. And that was back to 2023 anyway. Reported, depending on who you see, 32% of Americans in general own at least one firearm. So that makes it approximately, I don't do math really well, 259 million Americans, adults specifically, or 82,880,000 firearm owners. So it did come from a mathematical formulation. We know that, in fact, for the preliminary data from Harvard School of Public Health, we know that at least the gun owners in the area nationwide are about 49–50% of the new gun ownership. I might be preaching to the choir, but the people in our state, specifically California, we don't feel safe. And there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, Harvard, basically, the Harvard article cited, oh, well, we were social injustice in the last couple of years. We had COVID and people didn't feel safe. And there was a contested election. In California, I think it's a little closer to home if we say we had a defund the police policy that was running rampant in our state. We have people coming across our border in unprecedented numbers. And according to basically some folks in our legislature here, they're telling me anywhere from 150,000 to 175,000, up to 190,000, whoever you speak to, of illegal aliens have come across our borders and have parked themselves in San Diego County. Now, I don't know if they stayed here or what they're up to or why they're here. Sadly, no one else does either. So between those two items and letting people out of prison early, to the tune of 76,000 prisoners that were released in 2021, we've got some bad things going on. News isn't telling us. So we're basically going through and we're dealing with folks on a day-to-day. Our cops are inundated. It's up to us. And we can come to that realization because they're not here when I come out of the shopping center. They're not there when I come out of the drugstore. Things happen very quickly. What, 7–10 seconds? So we need to actually stop to think about it. Women absolutely are, well, we're not physically able to go after and get after. We're not even able to go after a group of women. So if I was accosted by three ladies, it would be tough for me to take them on physically. We needed another way. Therefore, Women for Gun Rights were born. What is our mission? The mission basically is education, preservation, and advocacy, probably in that order. We raise awareness among community members. We talk to people just like you guys. We basically include primarily our legislators because they really don't know what they don't know, and they only know what they're being told. And if you listen or read any of the regulations or the laws that are coming out, you know they don't know much because the laws don't make any sense. So we need to reach them and get them some common sense. Firearm safety and violence prevention basically are achieved through education. When was the last time you talked to your kids about what happens if they came up on finding a gun? What happens, have you talked to your teachers in school that are teaching your kids? What happens if they find a gun in the school? What do? There's just basic information education that can go a long way. The preservation, we are going to try to preserve our Americans' gun culture. That's not just target shooting. That's not just, self-defense. That's hunting. That's competitive sports. That's everything that runs a gamut for anything that includes shooting. And finally, advocacy. Yes, we do. We go and we testify and we talk to the legislatures and we do battle one-on-one. But that's the least part of what we do because the rest of it, 90% of it, is really face-to-face talking to other people. Our organizational structure is set up for 3 different members on the board of advisors, board of directors. We have 7 members of the advisory board. We are a 501c3-4, and we are working on the 501c3. The board of directors that are basically doing decision-making is Diana Mueller, Ryan Mueller, and Robin Sandoval. Our board of directors are made up of some really, really talented folks. Diana is a 22 or 23-year veteran of the Tulsa Police Department. She's a multiple-time national 3-gun champion. She's served on the police department in narcotics, gangs, street crimes, and patrol. She's a CLEAT law enforcement officer's instructor. She served on members on the NRA Law Enforcement Committee, subcommittees of Department of Interior and Hunting. The gal has pretty much done it all. She doesn't just talk the talk, she actually walks the walk. She still competes. She was just in Thailand, and she basically supported and had the United States. She was on the world stage, so to speak. So, oh, and she was also on the season 1 of The Big Gun. Kind of fun. Ryan Mueller is her husband. He's a full-time hunter and competitive shooter. And Robin Sandoval. Robin Sandoval is CEO of another national organization, Girl and a Gun. She's, again, walks the talk, talks the talk, walks the walk. She's a fire instructor in multiple disciplines. She does all the training. And her nationwide organization for Girl and a Gun has grown leaps and bounds, especially over the last 4 or 5 years. We just held a conference up in Colorado. There were 704 armed ladies in one spot. We basically had training for 4 days, and safe, and we had a gas, and the training was, you can't get better training than up there. So that's Robin's piece. So when you have 3 of those decision makers there, we get a really powerful board. In addition to that, we have an advisory board. The advisory board are made up of a number of other very talented folks, and we tend to split up the country in 4 different ways. So there's 4 different regions. We have regional directors. The state directors, of course, report to the regional. Regional directors are a part of the advisory board. Our day-to-day opportunity, the big things that we try to do is we track legislation. We do a lot of communication with the state legislators. We communicate with other groups. We basically make sure that we get attention where we need it. We network with other people. And we do a lot of strategy and importance when we go to 2A activities like this one. We show up here. We let people know that we're here. Not everybody understands that Women for Gun Rights exist. Tracking legislation is one of the more important things that we do. This year in the legislative process, we were tracking 32 bills, and that's for 23-24. 32 bills. Now, the results are not all in yet. We don't know who has passed yet. We know that there are a couple that have already gone to the next phase. There are 3 phases. So the ones on the screen that I'm going to speak very briefly about, they've gone to the next phase. We know that we've confirmed that. We'll have the rest of the information here by the end of June, and we'll know what they're voting on and really what's up for the gun owners on a day-to-day. The first bill that's up there is SB 53. That's something that we already know that we do. Bills have to be locked up. The firearms have to be locked up. They have to be stored. Well, the difference here is that now we have to store them in a safe that has been approved by the state California DOJ. All right, so it's on the list. So if your safe at home is not on the list, you're not in compliance. What does that mean? How are they going to go through and check all this? Well, there's a number of ways that they're approaching it, but essentially they're trying to get a list of, yes, the safes that are in everyone's home. I don't understand how they're going to enforce it, but it's coming. Maybe we'll see how they enforce it later. SB 1253. Anybody ever buy a firearm here in the state of California? Okay, I see a couple of hands. You have to have a firearm safety card, right? That is something that's done on a routine basis. Safety card, you make sure that you know how to handle a gun, and then you're good for 4 or 5 years. Well, powers that be have decided that they're going to change that, and they're going to change it to make it so that you actually have to do something and have this card updated every year. And it's not enough just to have it done every year. If you're caught with this particular card expired, there's problems with that. They basically can order fines. The fine print for this particular law, let's just say you inherited all kinds of wonderful firearms from your great-grandfather, and it's been passed down in the family, and it's now in your safe at home. You haven't bought it, you haven't sold it. This law would require you to have a firearm safety card. If you don't, the penalty and the small print in this is, oh, by the way, I don't know how they're going to go through and get this squared away yet, But they can actually come, they'll get a warrant, come into the house, take everything that's in your safe, and, oh, by the way, another small print, destroy it within 5 days. Okay, this is on the books, folks. This is something that's gone to the second level. Last thing that's gone to the second level is AB 2917. This is expanding on the current nasty red flag laws that we have here in the state of California. This particular nasty bill will make sure that it actually considers the threat, and they will extend the time that they can make this, take an individual, if a red flag is applied to you, you lose your gun rights now for 5 years, up to 5 years, and it can be extended unlimited amount of time. That's what AB 2917 is supposed to be doing. Again, this has gone to the second phase. It's kind of crazy how that goes, that they would actually think that they can enforce something like this, but California legislature. Now, I know this is crazy, and I know you think that this is a little, how do we stop this? How do we stop this? Well, it's really important for you guys to understand we don't have to live like this anymore. Liberal gun control policies are proven failures. We know this. We also know that these policies are not only ineffective, they're flat out dangerous. I mean, can you imagine having your guns in a safe, locked up, tied up, unloaded, and having to get the gun out in a reasonable amount of time to prevent an intruder? We don't have to live like that anymore. We really, really don't. Gun control plus soft on crime administrations, they equal emboldened criminals and more crime. There's a simple way. You guys sitting here know that there's a very easy way that you can do to correct this. You need to make sure and get them at the ballot box. You need to vote out people that don't support our 2A rights. Now, here's the question. How is it that we actually know who's the good guys and who's the bad guys? We have groups in town right now, San Diego County gun owners specifically, will put out a list of people that they know support our 2A rights. They put it on their website. They do it every time we have voting rights that comes up. Every time someone comes up, they have rated them. They know what they stand on, where they stand on 2A. They have meetings. You can talk to these folks that are running for office. Go to these meetings, talk to them, ask them questions that you want answered. All of those things are free for you. The other opportunity, of course, is come voting day and you go to their list and you know who is 2A friendly and who isn't. Those are the people that we spend our time voting in. And anyone who's not on the list doesn't get voted for or gets voted out. That's what you can do as we speak. So I would challenge that you guys actually take it upon yourself. Don't wait for someone to vote them out. Because this is something everybody can do. And when you go to the ballot box, you guys need to bring someone with you. Don't just go alone. Make sure you tell your family and friends and anyone you care about or cares about 2A, take them with you right to the ballot box. That's something you can do. Now, we are making we're making headway all the time. They never make the news. One of our big things was AB 2571. It's Assembly Bill 2571. That was, we couldn't prevent, well, they didn't want to advertise to minors. I don't know how many of you guys know, but do you remember when they couldn't advertise smoking to the kids? They weren't going to advertise any of those things. That's a long time ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. They applied the same logic here. However, the author of the bill was not intending the consequences that they had. In April, when we went to Sacramento, we had the 2023 junior champion for the state of California with us speaking about this very bill. And we got to the author of this bill, and we convinced the author that she didn't, we asked her if she meant to do what she did, and she was very confused. We had 1,300 California students that were denied scholarships because the manufacturers cannot reach out to the school gun clubs for their products. They couldn't reach out. We had all of the gun, basically any of the big shows that they go to or any of the competitions, they couldn't sponsor. any of those competitions because they can't advertise to minors. There's a $25,000 fine for anybody who does. Companies did not want to go through and chance the fact that crazy Californian would find them. The one student that we had with us lost, she was talking. She was going to sign documentation for her scholarship to go to college to another school, in a college school that had another great opportunity, and she couldn't even take her scholarship because the school would no longer talk to her. The good news, several weeks after our visit to Sacramento, the CRPA was involved, so that's California Rifle Pistol Association. The legislative director, Rick Travis, went back to the author of the bill with all of our facts and figures. She has agreed that she's going to change the verbiage in the bill. Now, it probably won't happen this session, but that's the kind of stuff that we get to play with, and we actually see that there's good things happening from what we're doing, and that's direct correlation. What we're doing literally is we're meeting local and state federal candidates, representatives, where they are. This is Sacramento. It's us. We do talk to both sides of the aisle. We actually testify as well to support bills. When we go to DC, we get to play with some pretty awesome folks. We have pictures up on the screen right now. We've got Lauren Boebert, and she's with Colorado. Kat McCormick, she's with Florida. Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia. And in the second picture, the only gentleman in the picture happens to be Mr. Jim Jordan of Ohio. So we get to play with some pretty awesome folks when we go back to DC. When we're in DC, we do have a fly-in. We do go there every year. 2023, so this would be October timeframe, we had almost 100 women in attendance. We were teaching and training on how to advocate. So this is what you have to prepare for, the notes that you have to do, what the legislator is really going to let you do. You really only have 15 minutes in their office. So it's not a knockdown drag-out fight by any means. This is just the points that you want to make and then get in, get out. This is part of the training that we go through. We also had an opportunity for a rally. For the rally, we went to the Supreme Court steps, and we got to have all kinds of stories and everything else. I'll show you a picture, next slide on that one. The press conference we had in front of the House of Representatives. The person who put that together for us was a National Republican Congressional Committee Chairman Representative. That's a big title. That's Richard Hudson. He's with North Carolina. And he absolutely headlined the press conference. Who else spoke was Representative Eric Burleson. He's in Missouri. Margie Taylor Greene, of course, from Georgia. And Kat McCormick in Florida. They were all there. They all spoke at the press conference. On our national website, they have the entire press conference if you want to hear what they have to say. But they were absolutely fabulous to deal with and support us in 2A all the way. We had 65 state directors, 65 women, 45 states were representative in our last meeting in DC, roughly about 12 teams of ladies, and we met with over 130 offices. That's the kind of reach we get. We're going to do it again and again. But just know that we are serious about that. And here's our motley crew in front of the Supreme Court. So we actually have an absolute gas. When we're there, we do get heckled. We do have our own security because of the signs are all about 2A. So people walking by, this is this is in DC. This is anyone and everyone can go in the public. And it's interesting and challenging when they come in and say what they're going to say with all of our signs. But we were very safe and we got a kick out of it. So it was all good to see us. Communication is really another thing, and that's really a day-to-day, ongoing, everything we can see. The communication with the representatives and their staff is really the most important thing we can possibly do at this point. We network with all kinds of different partners and groups, but what you guys have to understand is Women for Gun Rights is not the only function out there, group out there that's doing the work. We basically partner with a number of groups that are already out there. San Diego County gun owners, that's local here. They don't go outside of the San Diego County, but they have what impacts us the most on a daily basis. We have Not Me SD to help us out with things. We have California Rifle and Pistol Association. They are also all up and down California in pretty much every county. We have the Gun Owners of America. We have the Gun Owners of California. We have the Second Amendment Foundation. These are all organizations that basically we network with that have a running track record. CRPA, California Rifle and Pistol Association, have been around for 150 years. This is not 2 seconds ago. They've been teaching, training, and everything else. There's a lot of very positive things happening in 2A. But while we're here, there's a lot that you guys can do. And it doesn't take you guys time to do anything else other than maybe email. Or there's a lot of things in the 2A space that people can do from their home and never have to leave it. Please pick a group. Please support 1 or 2 if you can, depending on what your time and your efforts look like. The support basically is invaluable to us. It's really the backbone of what we do. And if we don't have people to help us out, it's hard to achieve our goals. And our goals is to save our 2A. So we hope that that's something that you'll consider. The 2A activities, when we attend, we put tables out. We have flyers. We have fundraising. We have all these things. So we go and we attend all of the 2A options and to share the facts and share solutions. It's not all doom and gloom. I know it looks like it, but you're not hearing all the good stuff that's really happening. So I want to hear there is good stuff. Okay, that's the big thing. Lastly, we are looking at getting programs. We support at least 5 national programs. These are not programs that Women for Gun Rights put together. We support things that have already been there. Kids Safe Foundation, Faster Saves Lives, Hold My Guns, Project Child Safe, Gun Owners Care. Kids Safe Foundation I'll talk just a little bit about, just because I might have a little bit of time, because I want you to understand that these programs impact your kids day-to-day, school age. If you don't think your kids are getting information from potentially the wrong information, you're kind of fooling yourself. Kids can Google a lot of things. Well, we want them to Google the stuff that really makes sense. So Kids Safe Foundation is one of at least 3 that I'm aware of that particularly go to kids. They teach them how to shoot. They bring them on the range with I think it's 22 or BBs, and I'm not sure. I think they have both at some point. Kids Safe Foundation also allows the parents to come out and teach and learn along with the kids. They teach them how to load, unload, safe, where the muzzle needs to go. They teach them all of this on a day-to-day, and they teach the kids what to do if they find something. Now, I don't know if that's worth it to you, but I would want to know that if my child saw something, and you know they get into all kinds of things, and you have no idea what other homes they're in unless you're there with them. So you want to make sure that they're at least safe on a day-to-day, and this is one thing that we can do. And they have a blast with this particular foundation. They really do have a ton of fun. Faster Saves Lives is the last thing I'll touch on. Faster Saves Lives is about the faculty. So this is faculty administrator, safety, training, and emergency response. Faster Saves Lives. When a school shuts down, active shooter, everything shuts down. The EMTs can't go in. Cops will go in when they're safe and they're ready. But the teachers and the kids and the administrators are locked down. If the children, if anything happens, if anyone's bleeding, if anyone got shot, for God's sake, nobody can get to them until the school is open and ready to go from the cops. Faster Saves Lives takes the faculty and administrators and teaches them safe emergency medical practices to save your kid's life. They could be saving another teacher's life. Who knows who got shot in this when you have an active shooter. But at least someone on the faculty will understand that they can actually save the people that are there until the EMTs can get in and the cops clear the school. So that's just another awesome, awesome program. I could go on, but I'm not going to. There's wonderful, wonderful programs. Please take a second and look them up. I need to ask, just to let you know how you get involved, there is our national website, womenforgunrights.org. Sign up. It's absolutely free. click California as far as your state of preference. I will get notified because I'm the state director here. I will reach out to you. You get 2 emails. You get a newsletter and you get an email from me about what's happening in California. We do have a fundraiser going on as we speak. We have a wonderful 2023 Mossberg over-under shotgun that you can donate for a chance to win that. So if you would come down, we do have a table here. We do have a fundraiser now. And if that doesn't appeal to you, dollars always count. Please donate. I need to know if anyone has any questions. I have to wait. There you are.
Thank you. You're welcome. Hi. Sean Hannity on his show was talking about this problem with the school lockdowns, the Uvalde effect. And they have a program, national program now, of locking systems for the schools that law enforcement, first responders only can access. Have you heard of this? Have you done any partnerships or any research?
Yes, I've heard of it, but that's just because I'm a nerd and I do a lot of things too. Our group has not necessarily, that I'm aware of, gotten a hold of that information, so we haven't partnered with them yet. But we do work with a lot of the officers, as Diana's an ex-cop. I don't think she's ever an ex. Are you never an ex? So she does have a fondness for taking care of the police departments and sheriffs, and she does keep in close contact with a lot of those folks. So if they're supporting something, I'm sure it's not too far along that Diana wouldn't support it. But I haven't heard about that particular program there yet.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, great.
Hi. So the
Good morning.
Kids Foundation that you're talking about, are you guys trying to reach the school districts, individual school districts, to talk about something like that?
So we have a number of partners. That particular partner, if we know someone locally, then we would introduce school administrators to the foundation administrator, and they would work it out so they would come in and potentially talk to the administration. But yeah, that's kind of how our partnerships work. We give them an intro, personalized, so they don't have to do the red tape with getting into the school. It's never what you know, it's always who. So if I know principals or if I know anybody in the school, then I can give them information and tell them that someone's calling them from that particular foundation. That would be what we do.
So you don't know if anyone's been doing that around here? Because I know it's been maybe within the last 2 weeks in our Lakeside School District, they have, we have Andrew Hayes, who was actually there at the meeting, and we were able to pass the parents' rights.
Parents' rights. There's such a thing these days? I'm so excited. I haven't heard that success. That's outstanding.
I know. And this weekend, what's today? Sunday, right? Well, today we're having there's a rally in El Cajon that people should attend. There's also a speaker from the owner of Firearms something or other who'll be speaking at 6:30 at the Foothills Church.
Foothills Church.
So a lot of people there. But if you can get into the schools, if you can talk to teachers to be able to talk to the district and slowly go in there to the schools to
are
teach
a tough niche.
Yes, that's
They are.
hard.
They really
so
are.
On the Kids Foundation, is that run by a gentleman?
Derek LeBlanc is one of the partners in that.
Okay.
And he is pretty fabulous.
Was here at the last gun show? And
He was.
Okay, that's the foundation. That's great.
Kids Safe Foundation.
Yeah,
Yep. He was at the last one, and Derek is all over the place.
Right.
Primarily, he's helped probably like 30,000 kids. Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Idaho.
Yeah, he said he did crisscross.
Yeah, and he does a lot of that. So he's a busy guy.
I think
but
that's
he
a big
has a
thing.
lot of connections. To your point.
So the last item is, why did they change the name from DC? Not that I like DC, but I could understand that.
Well, so when we started, that was a big debate. It was. The reason why it was called DC Project to begin with is Diana ended up going to DC, and that's where she thought the fight was. Had to go to the federal legislature. A couple of years, 4 or 5 years into it, there was always a tagline. So it was DC Project / Women for Gun Rights. That's how it was, right? When Diana re-looked at the mission, she figured out that the fight really for us is in the States. And then when people were looking, well, DC Project, what is that? And then when we added the tagline, Women for Gun Rights, they go, oh, okay. So I think that was part of the conversation, and they just took the tagline and made it the primary. So that's what we do.
All right, any other questions? Oh, here we go.
Hi. Hello again.
Hello again.
Hi. I'm a Boy Scout merit badge counselor for shooting.
Thank you.
Okay. And my mother was the #2 San Diego County, Imperial County Director of Girl Scouts of America. And she told me years ago, I said, how come we never get Girl Scout groups coming out? We get Mormon groups come out, they bring girls. We get various, right-wing churches, as we consider, they bring girls for shooting. But the Girl Scouts never come out and shoot. We have a program from South Bay Rod and Gun Club, no cost.
Of course, Boy Scouts are already there.
It turns out that the national charter will not let them involve the women. And that seems to me something you should approach, because with all the women
Good
abuse
idea.
going on, I would think that would be worth a look at. Just Juliette Lowe's gone. I think it's time to,
Reapproach.
reapproach.
I will make sure that we reapproach that. And then we'll see if we don't have a connection somewhere in there.
I think you might.
Because for the longest time, they weren't willing to chat.
The only time we're able to have women through a scouting program is I think it was what they used to call the explorers. The kids that are older.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think they had another name for it. But they are allowed to, and they also allow girls in them. And girls can come and shoot. But they do not have a handgun merit badge. They only have black powder, shotgun, and rifle. And
Well,
that's with
at least there's a little bit.
that's
But
with
yeah, we can
that's with the
reapproach
boys.
that.
Okay.
That would be, thank you
And
for
I think it
that.
would be a good thing to do, because women are not taking it anymore, and nor should
No.
they.
And we are the rising voice, so maybe that's a time to go back. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
All right.
All right, well, help me give Kimberly Southwell a round of
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.